Hey fam, happy Thursday. Hope you're having a good week. In case you haven't heard, there's a brand new show on the OWN network and it's called Ambitions, and it's a good show. I like it. It has sort of a Black Dynasty feel to it, if you're old enough to know what that means. Anyway, so let me get right into it. Our first character is played by Robin Givens. Her character is Stephanie Lancaster. And Stephanie is married to Mayor Evan Lancaster, and he's played by Brian White. And we know him from Stomp the Yard, The Family Stone. He's been in a ton of movies, all right? Then we have Essence Atkins. Her character is Amara Hughes, and we know her from Half and Half, the show. She was in Deliver Us from Eva. And her character, Amara Hughes, is married to Titus Hughes, and he was in Tyler Perry's Acrimony movie a year or two ago with Tyler Perry, his movie, and it stars Taraji P. Henson. Ugh. Okay, so two married couples there. Then we have Brely, I don't know if I'm saying her name right. Brely Evans. Her character is Rondell Lancaster, so she is Mayor Evans' sister. And we know her from Sparkle, and she was also in a show called Born Again Virgin. And then we have Gino Anthony Pesci. We know him. Okay, his character, the name of his character is Greg Peters, and we know him from Shades of Blue. Okay, if you watch Shades of Blue, the J-Lo cop show that was on TV, this is the DA, the white DA guy that she was sleeping with. He's kind of hot. I like him. All right, he was also in, was it 4-2? He was in Hidden in Plain Sight, the movie that was on Netflix. All right, so let me see. The show begins with basically Amara and Titus. They're trying to get it in the bedroom. It's like a sexy, hot scene, but they're clothed. Well, she's kind of clothed. They have clothes on, whatever. They're trying to get it in, basically, and she messes up and says something like, I love it when you put your hands on me. And you immediately see a change in Titus's character, and he's like triggered by what she said, and you know, he pulls away from her, and she's like, what's wrong with you? And he's like, where have I heard that before? And he aggressively like pushes her back on the bed, and he gets on her, and he's talking, he's like, you cheated on me, blah blah blah. And she's like, I thought our move to Atlanta would change things for us. And I mean, he's so pissed at this, and he basically tells her, you can't even say his name, can you? And he's like, his name is Damian Collins. I'm saying his name here because I do believe this name is going to come back up later, so remember that, Damian Collins. Okay, from there, they show Stephanie, and you see her knocking on her door. There's no answer in her house, and she walks into the room. She's calling her sister Tracy. Well, Tracy's knocked out on the bed, so she's going over to wake her up, and then she steps on this syringe thing, and she looks, and there's a liquid medicine that's on the nightstand next to the bed that she's basically shot herself up with. So she's freaking out, and she's running over trying to wake up Tracy, and Tracy's not waking up. And then she tells her husband, Evan, call 911, call 911. And he's like, no, it's too late. It's too late for her, and it's too late for you. And he pulls this gun out on her. And she's like turning around, just freaked out, like, oh my gosh, no, no, no. And he blows her away. And in that instant, you see her jerk, and she wakes up. She's in bed. It was a nightmare. Okay, I don't know what the hell's up with that nightmare, but it doesn't look good. All right, so then we have Stephanie and Evan in the morning. Basically, they're set down at a very upscale home. They're dressed very nice, suits, dresses. Attorney, lawyer, and like I said, he's the mayor. So they're down there, you know, having breakfast and talking, basically. And her daughter, their daughter, her name is Carly in the show. And Carly, we know her because she was that deranged chick that was stalking Ryan Destiny's character in Star. That girl, okay? So she comes down to breakfast, and she's basically telling them, because apparently she's told them before and they don't listen to much that she says. She's in a play, and she was studying for it, basically. And right here, you immediately see Mom stepping in to pressure her. Mom wants her to be an attorney. Basically, everyone in her family is an attorney, was an attorney. She wants her daughter to follow suit, and her daughter's not here for it. So they ask about her guy, Khalil, basically, like, how's it going with you guys? What's going on there? And she's basically trying to tell them that it's not all that serious. And they sort of cut in telling her, you guys would be such a good match for the family. I'm like, this is literally how these highly successful families think. You know, we have to have you aligned with the right person so that we're aligned with the right people to do whatever we need to. All right. Then we see Rondell, who I said is Evan's sister. And she's at the family restaurant that she runs there. And she's getting her groove on, dancing to a little New Edition. And Greg Peters, the white dude, he enters the restaurant, and you immediately see her whole attitude change. She's got stank face. They don't turn down the music. It ain't fun no more. And he's basically there to once again pressure her into selling. Basically, they're trying to take over the whole neighborhood. Appropriate. They're trying to take it all over. And she's refusing. And she's making a legal fight to keep her business. And, you know, she's telling him, I have steps that I got to take and blah, blah, blah. And he's telling her, you need to go on and take this while it's a good offer. And Greg ultimately ends up threatening. He says it would be a shame to see this place burn down. So she's pissed. And while she was there, she was cutting this cake. And she has this big butcher knife. And she wipes it off. And she basically tells him, if you continue to threaten me, my business, or my family, I will ram this knife up your ass. And this fool, who had already started to turn away, stopped and turns back around and walks over to her. He leans into the knife. Now, mind you, he's got a suit on, you know, white shirt. He leans into it to where it's going through the shirt. It's cutting his chest. Like, this fool crazy, all right? But I like it. He basically tells her, you got to have something behind them threats. And he walks off. It's a crazy moment there. But then we see Amara at work. Amara is a DA, basically, and her boss walks into her office, and she wants her to work this case, basically, involving the mayor and all his higher-ups, basically. It's everything, money laundering, just a whole bunch of stuff, and basically, it's their undertaking, and they're being investigated by the FBI here. And she asks, basically, the mayor, and she's like, yeah, that's him. And she tells her, I don't want this case. I went to college with his wife. Now, mind you, they're not friends, her and the wife, but they went to college together. She doesn't want to be involved. All right, so then we see Stephanie at work. She works at a law firm where her dad works, and it's her and her dad in a room basically having a conversation. She wants her dad to retire so that she can run the business, and he's refusing, and she's pissed off, and she's like, is it because I don't have a dick? I don't have balls? I mean, it's a back and forth thing between these two, and he even tells her, I know you've been schmoozing the partners, basically, whining, dining them. Is this your attempt at a takeover for me? And he's like, you need to know that I know everything that goes on in my business and in my city. And if I keep hearing about this, I'll put you out of this business. He's like, daughter or not. So he leaves, and you see her telling him after he leaves, basically, we'll see about that, daddy. And she calls him daddy. Little rich spoiled girls, that's what they call him. All right, so let me see. From there, we see Titus at work with his boss. So Titus works at a company that makes pharmaceuticals, and Mr. Purefoy is his white boss, okay? So basically, Mr. Purefoy is telling him that there's a gala tonight, and he's like, I don't know if I want to go. You know, the family that's having the gala is it's Stephanie's family. They do charity after her sister was killed 2 years prior from overdosing on pharmaceutical drugs, and they now have him in court. They're bringing a lawsuit against them, basically, and he's saying, I don't want to go to this thing, you know, because it's all this stuff going on legally. And Titus is like, you really need to go. If you don't, that'll be a PR nightmare. You need to go, take your family, and make a big, sizable contribution. Let the community know that you manufacture drugs that are here to help people, not to harm them. And This fool steps in and basically tells him, oh my gosh, he insults Titus with the white man basically telling the young brother, and that's what he says, a young brother like you. Um, he's like, that's why I wanted you to move to the A, basically. He's like, yeah, you have your whole business going on where you were at. He's like, but you you need a firm here like me with this type of money to do what we're trying to do. And he basically tells him, you need me. And he's like, I can only go so far, an old cracker like me. He called himself a cracker. Woo, child. Okay. Anyway, Titus is just like kind of freaked out. He's seeing exactly what's going on here, but that's his boss. He's doing it. So basically he tells him, you know, with the two of us, we can take over this whole city. And okay, so from there, then we see Stephanie and Titus. They went home for lunch, and they're having lunch and they're talking. They have a daughter who's been sent off to a private school, but she wants to come home with them basically. And they had just moved to the A, and they're trying to get their jobs, careers situated, moving in the whole nine. And even though she doesn't want to come home, they agree that they need a little time alone also because, as I said before, oh, wow. You know what? I went totally wrong here. Stephanie and Titus. So Stephanie is the Lancaster. Titus, my goodness, he's the one that I was saying that he's married to Amara. So they end up meeting in at Stephanie's family business in one of the conference rooms. And they're sort of shocked at this point because they too used to go to college together. You see, Titus used to date Stephanie, and apparently he cheated on her with Amara. This is where you start to see everything falling in here, okay? So anyway, they're shocked to see each other, but they're throwing stabs at each other basically because they are on two different sides of this legal battle with the pharmaceutical company. Like I said, Stephanie's sister died 2 years prior, and that's what this is all about. All right, so basically they're threatening, they're flirting. You can tell there's some chemistry there between these two. Then we see Greg Peters. He meets with Mayor Lancaster, and he's asking him to stop. Mayor Lancaster is telling him, you need to stop threatening my sister. And Greg basically, my goodness, Greg is pushing. He's like, you need to get her to sell that business. And Mayor says he'll take care of his sister, basically. So without her knowing, it seems like she wants to keep the business and he's trying to get rid of it. He's all about them pockets, not about a family business. All right. So then we see Stephanie, and she's getting dressed for the gala, basically getting fitted by a designer who works for her. Her name is Bella. And they're there, beautiful red dress she's trying on, last fitting before, the event that night. Then we see here Titus and Amara, and they went home for lunch and they were talking about their daughter, and this is where they agreed to it's best for her at this point to be at the private school because it's the best education and they do need the time. All right, then we see Stephanie, she's taking a bath, getting ready for the event, and the next thing you know, we see Titus coming into the bathroom, stripping his clothes, getting in the tub with her. They going at it in the tub in a very heated, passionate way, okay? And then we see her sort of snap out of it. She's fantasizing about this for y'all. She misses that D. Okay, then at the gala. The gala's red carpet, high class. Everybody who's somebody in that city is there. And what we do see, Titus, he introduces his wife Amara to the Purefoys. And Mr. Purefoys introduced his wife to Titus. And why does she eyeball up and down, looking at this man like he's some raw meat? Okay, she wants a little dark chocolate. So from there, Miss Purefoy asks Amara where she's from, and she's like, I'm from Houston, the South Side. And she's like, oh, I love to see people like you, DA. Now she's all, lift yourself up from the bootstraps. Man, get the fuck out of here. That's what white folks say to black folks when they think that you came from out, whatever. Anyway, then we see Peter, the jerk off. He's over at the food serving area, and he's tasting some of the food that Rondell has made because she's catering this event. And This fool's talking about spitting the food out, talking about, he's insulting her, saying it's not that good. Whatever. Peter says, oh, her brother walks up at that point, and he's seeing this transpire, and he takes Peter, off to the side. So the mayor and Peter are once again having a conversation, and Peter is telling him, you really need to check your sister. You need to get this done, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I'll handle it. Don't you worry about it. And he's like, it would be a shame to miss her. He's laying a threat down to the mayor even for this. Like, that's how serious it is for his company. All right, then we see the daughter of the Purefoys. I don't even know if they said her name, but she's in the bathroom, and Carly comes into the bathroom. So it's the daughter of both these families in the bathroom, and they're in there talking shit back and forth to each other about their family business. And the Purefoy daughter basically tells her, you can't even be truthful. And she's like, what are you talking about? And she says, do your parents know that you're gay? And she's like, she paused there for a second. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. She gay. Okay, she is. There's no pause or hesitation if you're not. But big deal. It is what it is. So then we see the Purefoy daughter reach over, grab this girl's phone, and she's like, what are you doing? Give me back my phone, blah, blah, blah. Now, mind you, ain't no lock on this phone. And then she hands the phone back to her, and she's like, there, now you have my phone number. When you're ready to talk about the real, she's all, you can call me. This bitch leans over and licks the girl up her lip. I mean, it is a hot, passionate, felt like slow motion moment. I'm not even gay, and that shit was hot, okay? Okay, from there, we see Amara and Rondell run into each other at the food area, introduce themselves to each other, and realize Rondell is the mayor's sister. And basically at that point, Amara's like, so you know Stephanie? And she's like, yes. And she's like, that girl's a pain in my ass. Okay, so then right then, we see Stephanie. Oh, I'm sorry. Titus comes up with Stephanie at this point. And they're talking, and Stephanie actually is like, I feel like I just saw you today. And she's like, actually, I did. She lets it be known because earlier in the show, Titus and Amara had talked, and basically they were speaking about how they haven't seen Stephanie since college. So he saw Stephanie, had lunch with his wife that day, and didn't say a doggone thing to her. So she's like, what the hell? She's freaked out. All right, then we see Evan comes up behind Stephanie, and she introduces him to Titus and Amara. And Amara is like, oh, nice to meet you, Mayor Evan, blah, blah. And Titus is like, it's nice to meet you, Evan. And he's like, I prefer Mayor. There's shots being thrown all over. Shady shit going on, all right? Then we see Stephanie's mom gets up to make her speech, and she announces during her speech that that night at the charity, they have raised $500,000 for research, to fight against the pharmaceutical companies distributing these drugs as they have, because this event is in her daughter's name. There's a big picture of Tracy there. It's a great moment. They did a good thing. Then we see Mr. Purefoy. Mr. Purefoy comes up and he's like, oh, may I please interrupt? I need to say something. She's like, of course. I mean, I don't know if she really wanted to hear what this fool's got to say, because they do know, their families hate each other. But they're in a room full of everyone who's anyone, so she lets him speak. And he stands up and he basically says that he is matching the $500,000 that it was earned that night to bring the full amount to $1 million. And at this point, you see Mr. Lancaster, Stephanie's dad. He's like, this motherfucker. He gets up and he's trying to go at him, and his son, and they're trying to push him down, like, calm down, dad. He's, this is some shady shit that he just did, okay? But anyway, then we see Stephanie. She knew that Titus, and she told him, asked him, were you the one behind Mr. Purefoy coming here tonight and doing this donation? And he's like, actually, I was, okay? And she's so pissed about it, basically, because he had something to do with this underhanded crap, and she threatens him. Then we see Amara and Titus. They went home, and when they get home, they're arguing because, like I said, she didn't know that Titus had already seen Stephanie, and she is pissed. And she basically tells him she should have never told him that she was pregnant. So basically, in college, when Titus was with Stephanie and he started messing around with Amara, The reason he cut things off with Stephanie is because Amara came up pregnant. But then she lost the baby. They got married, and then she lost the baby. When they stayed married, okay? Let me see. They have their argument. He leaves the room, and she picks her phone up, and she calls her boss, and she's like, you know what? I do want that case. I'm the right woman for the job. All right, then we see Stephanie and Evan. They're arguing at home, back and forth, some BS, and she asks if he got his ignorant ass sister to sell the business. And she says Greg Peters is an important contractor to her father. So they're in cahoots there, these two. And he basically talks shit back to her. And she pulls out a gun on him and holds it to his head and cocks it, okay? And basically threatens him, telling him, if you ever talk to me the way you just did, I'm going to pull a bullet in your head. All right, then we see Rondell at the restaurant, and it's already closed. She's cleaning up. She's the only one there. But apparently the front door was left open. And you see someone came in, and she's working, and she's like, we're closed, we're closed. And this person is proceeding to enter, and she turns around and looks, she's like, we're closed. And you see her start to back up. She's scared. And they pan away from that. You don't know what happened, but it does not look good. Okay, then the final act we have here, Evan. Evan left home because his crazy wife put a gun to his head, and he goes and gets into the shower with Bella, the girl, the fashion designer who was fitting Stephanie for her dress. Yeah, he's doing her in the shower. Okay, so whole affair going on there, and that's where this episode ends, you guys. It was a good show. I'm here for it. Excited for next week. Hope y'all like. Okay, let me know what you think. If you like my videos, please hit the like button and become a subscriber. Okay. Thanks for watching.